Lesson, I'm going to show you how to create your slides so that your presentation is really high converting and you turn those participants at your workshop into paid clients. Now, I have given you a slide template to use and an example from a presentation that converted amazingly well for me. So this is a template. A template is not a script. The problem with using something like a script is that you'll sound really formulaic and it won't necessarily work for your content, your message, and your audience. Now, use this template to plan exactly what you put on each slide for your workshop. And if you've followed the process and completed your pre-work and content planning templates before this step, then this should feel really easy. And if you're not sure what some of these components are on this template, then please, review the previous 2 lessons. You should not be thinking about the content when it comes time to prepare your slides. Your slides are simply your translation of all the other work and thinking that you've done into a visual format. So I really mean it. If there's terminology on this template that you aren't sure of, you've missed something in the planning process. Now, I'm going to show you my example here and point out some things that are in a little bit different order. I do want you to look at this example. It's a really strong example, and I had to take some liberties. So I use this slide template every time I plan a live presentation. I always have it open, and I always have it next to me, and I actually use it. But then what I find is that sometimes I have to resequence things so that I have a good flow, so that it works for me. There are certain kinds of transitions that I like to use. So, you're going to have to take some similar liberties. So I don't want you to look at the template and say, well, Carrie, in your template, you said that it should be slide 5, but in your presentation, it's slide 8. Okay, so what? That's what I had to do to make it work, and you're going to have to make it work for you too. But all the component parts that are in the template, you'll see here in this example. So the first one's obviously the first slide, the title of your presentation and your name. Look, I already screwed something up here. I don't have my name on it. You should have your name on your title slide, but here we go. You're going to have a title slide first. You can also have your picture on your title slide if you'd like to do that. That can always be a really nice thing to do. Slide 2, you're going to talk about exactly what people are going to learn. This is important to be really clear about this so that they feel enticed to stay. Then in the template, you can see the third thing listed is stay until the end. You're going to have something like this where it's a carrot that you can dangle. What can you offer them for free that would make them really excited about staying until the end? If you have something, great. If you don't have something, don't get off track and say, uh-oh, now I have to go create something and spend 2 weeks doing that. No, do your workshop. You can always create something later. Now, here in the template, it says this session is for type 1, type 2, type 3. So what that's really asking you to do is think about the different buckets or categories that your clients fall into. Now, you'll notice in my presentation, I don't have a slide that says type 1, type 2, type 3. So the goal of this template is not to use the exact verbiage that's over here in this left-hand column and just plop that onto a slide. This is just prompting you in terms of the kinds of content you have to talk about. For me in this slide, I'm still talking about my different kinds of clients because I'm naming their challenges. You're overwhelmed by all the steps to take and need a roadmap. You're easily distracted, and so on and so on. So I'm still showing them in this slide who this is for. When they come to the slide, they're going to be able to self-identify, yes, this is me, or no, that's not me. That's the intention of this slide here. Then you can talk about how your session is going to be different and unique. How are you having a different spin on it? Now, I didn't incorporate a slide specifically that talks about how this is different and unique, but I talked about it verbally. I was making a stand against the industry norms that say you should do things like build your business with complicated funnels and expensive technology and automate it so you can make money in your sleep. I went there. I debunked all of that very early on in this presentation. And so that was serving this purpose of explaining how this topic was going to be presented in a way that was different and unique. Now here, the next slide could be your big promise. Now mine is in a little bit different place, but I want to show you what my big promise really is about. My big promise for this presentation is this slide here. You can get fully booked with these 3 simple things: irresistible offers, simple marketing strategies, and magnetic messaging. That's my big promise. I'm saying to them, this thing that you want, getting fully booked, really can happen in this way. So your big promise slide is going to have a similar kind of message and feel. If they, don't want to feel chaotic in their household while they're parenting their young children, your slide can say, you really can calm the chaos with these 3 simple steps. That might be your big promise, just as an example. And then we're going to get into the challenges, the big opportunity. So again, these might be a little bit out of order, but you'll see here, future of the big opportunity, mine's right here. So I do talk about the opportunity, and then I get into some statistics, and I show them what's going on in the wider industry and why now this is a great time to build their business. So I just want you to see that the component parts are in fact in this example slide deck, but I don't want you to be confused when you're thinking, well, wait, this very next slide should be this thing according to the template. Just look a little bit and you'll notice that those component parts are there. Now, when you get down to the bottom of this template, here, let me show you the framework part first. So in this presentation, I've included a framework. And if you have a framework, I suggest that frameworks are great to teach content. They really are. So I made this framework up not too long ago to help start shifting people's identities. That was the goal of developing this framework. And I'm calling it the High Impact Entrepreneur Framework. And I'm saying there's unknown business owners compared to high impact entrepreneurs. So just think about why that would be powerful for people to hear. I'm trying to shift their identity. If I can help somebody start to see themselves differently, they are more likely to start believing in what's possible for them. So this framework, you're going to break it down if you have one or if you make one to teach a concept, and you're going to share each different component part on a slide so that you are just adding on and building on each slide until you have shared the whole framework. Now here in the template, it says client avatars, who they are now and who they want to be, show the gap. I didn't need a separate slide to do that because my framework is all about shifting identities. So for me, those 2 things just kind of became married and condensed into one. Anytime you see here a question that will create tension for the audience, I'm talking about a question that's something like this. What would the impact be on your business if you were operating from higher levels of consciousness most of the time? So a question that will create tension for the audience is something that just really makes them think. That is the goal of that kind of a question. And you're going to want to sprinkle those in throughout. You're going to have a let's recap slide, and you're going to remind them of all the amazing things that you taught and that they just learned. Now, in this template, you're going to go through, whatever kind of closing that you're going to have. You're either going to have a soft close, and that's when you're collecting information or sending people on to a next step with you. Now, let's say somebody has invited you to be a guest presenter, and you're not going to directly pitch your services, but you're allowed to offer them a freebie. That would be a soft close. In this particular example that you have of my slides, it is a blend between a soft close and a hard close. Technically, I'm asking people to take another step. They're not allowed to purchase the program at the end here. The next step is for them to apply to work with us. They then go to a pre-recorded webinar, and that pitches the program. So mine here in this example is a blend of the two. You most likely will have one or the other. So you have a soft close, and it's going to show you how simple it is. You're going to ask them what's been most valuable, what questions do you have, you're going to give them the name of your template or your freebie that you're sharing, and you're going to thank them for coming. Now, in a hard close, where you're pitching the program, you're going to have to remind them again of the problems that they have. You're going to have to give them a question like, so how do you solve these problems? You're going to talk like what resonated with you so far. What about what I shared seems like it would be helpful for you? You're going to say this program or offer isn't for everyone, and this is who it is for. You're going to have the name of the program and your program promise. So what is the ultimate goal of that offer that you are presenting to them? If there are modules, so if you are in phase 3 and you're selling a group program, you'll have modules. If you are in phase 2 and you're just selling a workshop and you're selling people into a one-on-one offer with you, or transformational offer with you, you might not have modules. So if you don't have modules, then don't include modules. Remember, this has to be a guideline and not a script. If you have bonuses to offer, you would share them. If you have some testimonials, you would share those. You give the total value of each component part of the offer, the actual cost of the program, the pricing options, the cost of not taking action now. You can ask a question like, what are you sacrificing by not taking this particular action? And you want to create urgency and be really clear about deadlines to join. So if they are getting some kind of reduced rate, if they sign up by a particular deadline, anything like that, you're going to want to be really clear about that. Now, like I said, this is a hybrid of these two different types of closings. So you're going to see a lot of elements here of a hard close. You're going to see that I talk about the framework from the program. I'm talking a lot about some of the urgency here, why you need to apply now. Haven't you waited long enough? How long have you already waited to make your dream a reality? So that really does line up to this concept here in this template. What are you sacrificing by not taking action? So you can see a lot of those elements at play here. Here's my call to action, apply now. Here are my testimonials. Here's all the information about the course. Here's the bonuses. Here's again, me pitching why this is so urgent for them to do this right now. And then at the very end, I've got, and here's your freebie, because remember, I promised them that they could have something if they stuck around to the end. So use this template to make sure that you have all of the component parts. You can rearrange the order to make sure that there is a good flow, and create the close depending on the particular situation that you're in. Make sure to turn in all of your assets for a critique session so that we can help you to make sure this is a super high converting workshop for you, and I can't wait to see what you do with this. I know it's going to be amazing.